What's going on, guys? This is Restless Corpse.
You cut off the intro. This is Providence. What's going on? How you doing? How you doing? What's going on?
We are VirtualBromance. This is episode 5, The Next Generation. And we're gonna be talking about E3 and the next gen consoles and games and shit that came out for them that were released or revealed at E3. But first, I guess in normal VirtualBromance fashion, we're gonna be talking about a couple things that we've been playing during the week. Probably gonna keep that to a minimum so we can jump on the E3 stuff. John is actually playing something right now, I believe. Probably has it paused.
I had to exit out of the mission actually because it's not really a pausable sort of thing.
Well, why don't you tell us what it is?
Mostly because of the awesome E3 action. I was sort of motivated to actually go back and finish Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker HD. Because I never finished it on PSP, I never finished the HD release, and I've noticed in all of the teaser trailers they've done for the next whatever two or whatever Metal Gear games, that Snake's missing an arm, and it's been replaced with a red robot arm, which
In Metal Gear Solid 5.
Right.
Okay.
Which I can tell you that one of the bad guys in Peace Walker has that red robot arm.
Right. So you're playing through it to make sure you know.
How the hell did that arm go from Galvez over to Naked Snake?
Yeah.
And why was that necessary? I'm curious about that, and I know that I'm way behind on that. But it's. Peace Walker is a great game. It's really fun in the encapsulated mission sort of context, but it's a little bit tedious in the go back and farm missions for soldiers and manage your army and juggle stats to get guys into different developmental groups and stuff like like your engineer team and your med team, and in order for them to develop equipment for you and items and stuff. Like, it gets tedious.
Right.
The thing that I was kind of stuck at was you have to go, you fight like sort of mech bosses, and you have to fight them to get them to randomly drop any of the, I think it's 7 parts you need for your, whether they're the core structural components or the optional add-on parts to build your Zeke Metal Gear that you're going to need later in the game. Right. So I was stuck at trying to farm these parts for this Metal Gear, and I was missing one part, and I knew which boss I needed to fight to get it to drop, and I fought that boss probably 20 times now, and it will not drop the damn part. So I'm one part away from a completed Metal Gear Zeke, and been playing with my balls. I mean, so like I got
play
frustrated.
MMOs, so I know how you're feeling. But.
Yeah, I got frustrated with it, and I decided I needed to take a break, and that turned into a couple of months. And then the trailers for Phantom Pain came out, so I was, especially after the big gameplay footage and stuff from yesterday, I was pretty stoked. So I decided it was time to do that, and I'll probably also finish Revengeance because I am just a bad Metal Gear fan.
You want me to finish it for you when next month?
No.
All right. Is there anything else that you've been playing, or is that pretty much?
Well, I mean, as you know,
other than like Borderlands.
I've been playing Borderlands too. I've been working on Krieg.
Borderlands all the time.
Yeah, I'm still working on Krieg. I think I'm at like level 24 or 25 soloing still.
Right.
I got the You Bastard skin to drop from the Threshers in Caustic Caverns, which is one of the rarest skins in the game.
Yeah.
The all-white skin and the all-black skin for any of the classes are the rarest ones, as far as I can tell in my research. I got the all-white one to drop for Krieg, which I put it on him, and then I put the the cybergoth breathing mask on with the floppy hair.
It doesn't have like yarn hanging off its head.
No, but it's the cybergoth. Like, it looks like he's maybe doing some drywalling.
Right.
So he just needs a mask, and then he's got the floppy, like, one side of his head floppy hair.
Right.
Which, with the white skin, all of his clothes and the mask are all white, and his hair is kind of like a really pale pink. So I feel like he looks like Dr. Nemesis from the X-Men comics, because he wears all white and a trench coat and a fedora and a breather mask.
Yeah.
So I'm like, word, man, I'll change his name to Nemesis, and I'll just roll that way. So I straight kick it white style. And I even, when I get cars now, I set them to like old aluminium, because that's the whitest looking color I could find for my cars. Yeah. So he's all, he's super good guy. He wears white all the time.
Nice. All right. Cool. Well, for me, it's been 3 different games. The first one is one that I talked about last week, Remember Me. I did finish it a couple days ago. And I maintain that it's a pretty damn good game. It's really short. And I've heard that the combo system on the consoles doesn't hold a candle to the PC version, like frame rate issues or just bugs in it, I guess. I didn't run into any bugs or anything like that in the console, so I really don't know what they're talking about.
Man, I hate bugs. You got to get some sprays to get rid of those.
Yeah. So I did finish it. The ending is pretty good. The story just in general is really good. But since I talked about it last week, I'm not gonna go ahead and I'm not really gonna go into a lot of detail about it.
Well,
I just wanted to point out that I did play it and I did finish it.
Wait, which one was this? The
Remember Me.
Remember Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you did a particularly cool project, where we had a viewer in the chat a couple of weeks ago who asked you about a particular game,
which I will be getting to as soon as because there were 3 of them that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to talk about that one last. But yeah, I did download and play that game because Scott, the Rededder, asked me about it during one of our shows. I think it was the ill-fated episode 2.
Yeah.
But
we should probably. I'll see if I can find Scott here and maybe send him a message and be like, dude, why aren't you watching the show?
Well, he did say he wanted to watch that part. I put it on the Facebook that I was going to be talking about it, and he sounded pretty excited. So, but before I get to that, I want to talk about State of Decay. It is an Xbox Live title that I picked up the day it came out, which was weird because it didn't come out on a Tuesday like most games do. It came out on last Wednesday. And I streamed almost all of that while I was playing it. I had a few tedious things like grinding. I didn't stream, but it's an open world zombie survival game where it's less focused on killing zombies and more focused on like surviving and scavenging and things like that. So it's a really slow-paced game, but it's really fun.
So is there now you're saying it's more about scavenging and surviving? Is that sort of saying that it's not there's not a heavy strain on like combat? It's more avoidance and avoiding detection.
Well, at the beginning, mostly it is, yeah. But as each of your characters have, which any character that you meet can potentially be brought into your group, and you can use them if you build up their trust enough. Like, you get their trust to 100%, then you can switch to them and use them. But each one has different skills, and I mean, everybody's got fighting and whatever. But as you build up your fighting skill, you gain access to moves or specializations based on like blunt weapons or heavy weapons or bladed weapons, and you have like a really unforgiving stamina system. So if you swing your weapon a whole lot, you start to lose.
Well, I can tell you
really
that pretty frequently my stamina is very unforgiving as well.
Yeah, you're an old man. But based on the way that is combat, like if you get swarmed, it's really tough to kill them all that way. So yeah, it's mostly like there's a sound mechanic. Like anytime you do something, you have on your mini map you have like a ring that goes outward as you make sound, and that'll.
Is that similar to the similar to that ring that they used for Metal Gear 4?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
And things like rummaging around in drawers and things like that will make noise, and you kind of have to be careful with that. Walking you can find like medical supplies or food supplies or building materials and things like that, and you put them in a rucksack on your back, and while you're walking around with that, it makes a little bit like a little bit of noise. But you want to get that stuff back to your base and put them in your stockpile so that you can upgrade your base, like build watchtowers, or maybe build a medical area or another sleeping area, because you're bringing in more people into your group, then they need places to sleep. A garden if you want to have a sustainable food source, stuff like that. And you can move your bases. There's something like 6 or 7 different bases on the entire map, and they all have different capacities for things. So you want to find the best one, and while you're out scavenging, sometimes you'll get a message that like a horde is moving in toward the base, and you don't have to go back if you've set up your base well and you have enough resources and enough guns for everybody and ammo and things like that. You don't have to go back and defend it. They'll do it just fine. But if you don't, then you need to go back and help, and it increases morale. You have to watch your morale. You have to people get like there's a like a facility called, I think it was either mess hall or dining area, and that's one of the things that like you need to build so that people that like the morale stays up and the tension stays low, because if the tension is high, then your survivors fight with each other and argue with each other, and it brings morale down. It's a really deep system for an arcade game, and there's a lot of missions. I think the side missions are random and they never stop. So. Essentially, you could play forever.
Okay. We got a lot to cover in our E3 stuff, so we don't want to get too bogged down. And I really want to hear about this game that you played for Scott. So, on the Josh Russo 1 to 10 scale, how would you rate this game?
I'd give it at least an 8.5. There are some things that kind of bring it down, like. Being that it's an arcade title, it doesn't have a lot of depth in like gameplay wise, aside from managing this stuff. A lot of the houses are just reused over and over. I mean, every building in the game you can go into and scavenge, and
but they end up
potentially
being
set up an outpost in. But there's like
cookie cutter recycled.
Right,
it's like you're playing Dragon Age.
Right, like you go into the city. You go into the city, and you go to an office building. Well, there's several of those office buildings in the city. Now what's inside them looks randomized, like shit that's strewn around inside them, but the layouts themselves are cookie cutter. The AI does some weird dumb shit. Sometimes your survivors will go on a mission, as it says on the list, or you select them, it says out on a mission or away, and then like an hour later, like real time, an hour later you'll get so-and-so needs help, and you need to go help them. If you don't, they'll die. Things like that. So it just seems like everybody that's not being controlled by the player is a complete idiot.
Right on.
Right.
Well, and also before it happens, I want to point out that we'll probably be joined this evening on the show by Joe.
Right.
He's going to come by probably in 10-15 minutes, and he's going to have all of his strong opinions about all of the E3 stuff as well. At which point, I want you to be prepared. I'm going to probably take this headset off, and we're going to go with the ambient mic.
Well, it's fine, so, as long as you don't have, if you
background noise. Yeah, just giving you the heads up. We're going to have a guest on the show. He's going to sit probably like right here-ish. It's going to be
not this guy though. This is my guest on the show.
Your guest on the show is a little more special.
I do love Lamp.
Yeah, your guest is more special.
But yeah, so State of Decay, pretty damn good. I do have all the achievements for it already, so I moved on. But it's good. It's fun. I kind of want you to play it.
Well, I think I said I would play it when we move.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can have 3 different saves, so you can start over and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, what's your next game?
All right. The next game that I've been playing, as a matter of fact, that I played right up to the time that we started the show, is Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Now,
which, as a side note, I saw some ads for it. It's not that old, right?
No, it's like a couple weeks.
It's like a standalone like arcade game,
or a few weeks. Yeah, it's an arcade game.
I saw some ads for it a while back and thought it looked pretty cool. It had the word Gunslinger in the title, which made me interested. But I think I might be persuaded to play it.
You really should. Knowing you the way I do, I think that you really should play it. But let me tell you a little bit about it, and you can see whether you want to play it or not. First of all, I like the first Call of Juarez game. It was like a kind of an open world, but not real open world. It's like quasi-open world. Like you go into an area and you can run around on your horse and everything, but you're still enclosed in that area. And you go through the story, and it's a cool like gunslinger story. They've got a cool mechanic where if you build up your focus, you can slow down time and select targets and then shoot them all when you release the thing.
So was it sort of like a spiritual predecessor to Red Dead?
No, but because it's not nearly that open world.
Mm-hmm.
It was after the first Red Dead, which was Red Dead Revolver, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it was after that one, and that one got really horrible reviews, which is why Red Dead Redemption was so surprising when it was better, or like so great. But so yeah, the first Call of Juarez game was really cool. The second one was still pretty cool, though it was a little bit more linear. And I don't remember if they had the gun duels in that one. But Gunslinger, first of all, it's a maybe 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours if you don't just fly through it on easy or whatever. So that's pretty cool because first of all, AAA titles that come out for $60 sometimes are that long when they're an FPS. So an arcade game that I bought for 1,200 points, being that long, is pretty badass. Especially the fact that it's such a good game. The graphics are great. They're like Borderlands style. It's like that weird cel shaded, but not really cel shaded, like art direction that Borderlands has. But it's a little bit more
interesting, like the more comic book style art rather than.
Right, but it's like 100% more detailed than Borderlands is, because the graphics are fucking phenomenal and I want to say for an arcade game, but I don't want to say that because it sounds like I'm kind of
giving it like a lower standard to live up to.
And it's better looking than a lot of the games that have come out recently. It's fluid. There's no problems.
Can you name 2 games that you think it's better than?
I can name shit. You want to do a top 5 games that Call of Juarez is better than at the end of the show? We've already got a top 5, so we can't do that. But maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah.
But
what's going on, Scott? Welcome to the audience.
The coolest thing about the game is that it's being told. It's being told as a story by this old man sitting in a saloon drinking with people. So you've got the old man like narrating it kind of Bastion style, because if you do something, he'll bring that into the conversation. But if you don't do it on a different playthrough or something, he won't say anything about it, like climbing up a water tower or something like that. Mm-hmm. But he's also got a waitress named Molly. Dwight is a young kid that has read all the dime novels about your character, and your character's like setting him straight on the story of what really happened. And then there's an old man named Steve and the bartender named Ben, and they're all sitting around the table while you're telling the story. And what's cool about that is sometimes, like in the very first mission, you have a gunfight with Sam Garrett, which and before I continue, every character in the game, with the exception of maybe the main character, I'm not real sure, is a real person from Wild West history.
Okay, so it is actually educational. Thanks was not just making that up.
No, yeah, we talked because she watched me play a lot of some of it today. So in the first mission, you're with Billy the Kid's gang, I believe, the Regulators.
Mount up.
Yeah, and they're holed up in a house, like fighting off Sam Garrett's.
Is Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh there? Because if Christian Slater's in the house, really?
Yes, he is. He's not in that part, but he's in the game.
Arkansas Dave's the guy.
So
you killed 38 men, not counting
and,
Mexicans and Indians, bro.
Right. So you get to this place and you're in the house like fighting off Sam Garrett's police force with, or I think they're or Pat Garrett. That's right. Or I think
Pat Garrett.
They might be the Pinkertons. I can't remember if they're the Pinkertons at that point. But and he tells you to go get the horses. So you shoot your way out of this house while he's up there defending, and you get to the stables. And you go into the stables, and Pat Garrett's there, and you have a gun duel with him, which is really cool. It's got a really cool mechanic. Like you have to control like your hand and how close it is to the gun that affects your draw speed, while at the same time keeping your focus on the person. So because it makes like your reticle smaller when you finally pull your gun. So you do this gunfight. And then in the gunfight, you kill Pat Garrett. Well, everybody knows that Pat Garrett isn't dead. So one of the guys was like, "Well, we know Pat Garrett's not dead." And he's like, "I didn't say I killed Pat Garrett. I said that's where I met him." So it rewinds and it starts you before you go into the stables. And when you go into the stables again, like Pat Garrett knocks him out and takes you and Billy Kid to jail.
Okay.
So it's a lot of things like that where he's telling a story and he'll embellish things sometimes. And if somebody calls him on it, then sometimes it'll rewind and you'll play it a different way. There's a part where you have to assault this mine, like you're going through this mine to get to another boss fight. And he talks about how he saw multiple ways in, and it makes you go. You can only go into the first way that he saw it first, and you get all the way to the end, and then you die at the end. And he's like, and I figured that was going to happen, so that's why I didn't take that way. And then another way shows up, and you go that way, and it's really fucking cool. But the duels, the gun duels are just, some of them are super hard until and it feels like it's impossible until you get everything set up the way you need it to be set up, and it just goes off without a hitch. At the end, there's a Mexican standoff where you
man, it's the worst kind of standoff.
Where there's two guys, I'm not going to say who they are because it's a giant spoiler, but there's two guys and you can only see one of them at a time. So you have to switch your like who you're looking at back and forth, and you only gain focus based on like if you're looking at the guy who is focusing on you. So you constantly have to look back and forth to make sure that whoever's looking at you, you're looking at them, because when the shit starts to fly, they're going to be the ones shooting at you. And that fight feels really badass when you get it done. It's the last fight in the game. Well, depending on how you choose.
So you said the game is about 6 or 7 hours?
Yeah, it's about 6 or 7 hours if you're looking for things, and if you're not playing on easy and just running through it.
So do you think that's longer or shorter than Blood Dragon?
It's about the same. In Blood Dragon, if you're not looking for any of the side quests, it's definitely shorter than Call of Juarez. But remember, there's all the side quests and all the things to pick up. But
I mean, I guess that maybe what we're looking at then is that we have a really, really great variety of arcade games.
Yeah, in the last month or so, the arcade is really popping off, and it usually does that in the summer.
In the summer, yeah.
The summer of arcade thing is there's always at least 1 or 2 games, and so far, like State of Decay and Call of Juarez are awesome. I don't know.
Blood Dragon was awesome, and that was only like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, that wasn't really a summer thing. But it was awesome. So the arcade is doing pretty well. But with Call of Juarez, there's actually a couple other game modes. There's arcade mode, where you go through parts of the story maps and missions, and you try to get like your score really super high and survive to the end. And then there's the gun duels, where you just duel like 15 people in a row and try to get to the end. And I got to number 11 before I got killed. But
it's pretty good.
It's a really good game. I would recommend it. If you've never played any of the Call of Juarez games, it's a great place to start because it doesn't seem to be linked to any of the other ones. It's definitely not linked to the cartel, which was horrible from what everybody says. I've seen on forums from multiple different threads that this is the best arcade game that they've ever played.
Those people probably never played Blood Dragon then.
Right. And it's definitely the best arcade, or one of the best arcade games that I've played. So I would recommend it. I think you should play it because the narration and the story is actually really fucking good.
But I mean, as we just, I think it was last week or over the weekend, we were just talking about like how many really, really great arcade titles have really come up in the last couple of years. I mean, Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet and Bastion from Dust was really cool. I never really got into it.
Before we continue, I want to address Scott did say that the coin, the old Spanish coin, and yes, that was in Call of Juarez 1 and 2. I don't know if it was in the Cartel, but they say that whoever has this coin, some kind of tragedy always follows him around and happens to him. And that coin is carried by Silas Greaves, which is the main character of the game. So, yeah, that is the only link from to the other Call of Juarez games. Yeah, the cursed coin. Yeah, I don't know, Banks, if you saw while you were watching, if he slid remember the coin that was put in his mouth when Bosco hung him and his brothers. So anyway, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that. I mean, I think that the small game development has really gotten to a really good spot. I mean, if you look at how spectacular.
Well, right. Look at Minecraft and Terraria and Don't Starve are super popular games right now. Don't Starve is another one that I've been playing this week, but I haven't really been playing a whole lot of it. I want to get back to that. I want to do a stream. I want to do some videos of that.
Well, and I think that kind of ties in actually with one of the things that we're going to talk about from the E3 stuff, which is, well, should I go into it? I mean, yeah, there seems to be a little bit of confusion about it, but I've done my research and I know now that what we're looking at is that, you know, in the midst of a lot of terrible decisions in terms of their new console, Microsoft is doing a couple of things really, really awesome. One of which is they're going to be making 2 games free to gold members to download every month. 2 different games every month, and it'll be from a list though. It's not like, oh, I choose this one and right.
This one.
It's,
it'll be a list that you can choose
they make 2 games available, 2 specific games available for a month for you to download. And unlike, you know, everybody was comparing this to the
he said those games are yours. I don't think it's to play for a month. I think
they said there were Fable 3 I tried to download today, but the service I think was jammed up with people trying to download it. Unlike on PlayStation Plus, where you get that game for free, but when your Plus membership goes away or the time expires on it, you lose it. Once you download this game, these games that they make free, and you can keep them as long as you want, and they're yours forever. So if I download Fable 3, it's mine, and then we're looking at Assassin's Creed 2 and Halo 3 for July as the 2 free games.
And John, you should. I know you're not a Halo fan, but grab it.
I'll probably get it because it's a free game. Why not?
Yeah.
And I think that even people who own physical copies like you probably will download it because it'll be more convenient to just have it on your console. I think that's a great move. It doesn't cancel out some of the pretty epically bad moves that they've made, which is really hard for me to say.
We hoped they would change by E3, and they didn't.
Right, which it's really hard for me to say because I really love my Xbox, and I really wanted those things to not be the way they were, or for them to be potentially changed, and it doesn't look like they are. I mean, I'm of the opinion that now that we've hit E3, they've really hit kind of a point of no return, and they're not. I think if they were going to try to change things like the blocking used games or the DRM thing, like if they were going to try to change that, they would have had to do it before E3. And
right, and that's probably true. But what if after seeing what PlayStation announced, they're going to really try? They might. Who knows? They might, and I think they should. But I don't. I think they're. They're pretty confident that they're going to sell. So
I saw a poll today on one of the Xbox Live News things that I subscribe to on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, and what they were actually saying was it was actually a poll of which console you were going to buy given the announcements from E3 yesterday, and only 21% of people in that poll, and it's an Xbox Live News
Right. So you would think that it would be a bunch of Xbox fans.
21% of the people said Xbox.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I mean,
that should make them understand that they need to change something.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if it will.
We're talking. There's so many problems. The $100 more expensive price point. The having to be online at least once a day. The can't you. Sony hit it right on the head.
John, hold on before you move on to what Sony said. You know how we're always talking about with the no used games or no trading games, how we're always like, that's not really going to affect us because we buy all our games. What's funny is that within the last week, we've been talking about, I'll just let you borrow it, or
right.
I'll borrow it from you. Apparently, it is going to affect us, John.
Well, but even beyond that, it's not even like.
I mean, it won't because we'll be living together. But.
Right, for us as gamers, like, it's not a big deal because we're not people that are like, we borrow or buy used games all the time. But the way that Sony phrased Jack Tretton, that dickhead, the way that he made his big egomaniac, like, smirking, smug ass fucking announcement at the end of the Sony conference, he hit it on the head though, and that is, you bought the game, you own the physical copy, you should have the right to do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Right.
And
have you seen on YouTube the guide to trading games on PS4?
No.
It's like 20 seconds long, and it's
Is that the thing that Luke put on the
front
it's the
thing
of the
where
show?
It's 20 seconds or 22 seconds long or something, and the dude just hands the game to the guy and says, "Here you go," and the guy says, "Thanks," and then they both look at the camera and grin.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it really is. I mean, it's funny, but kind of.
I mean, and it sounds to me like after watching the conference that one of the things that we had always complained about with the PlayStation, which was their horribly atrocious game servers, may be remedied by the fact that you can only play on multiplayer servers if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation Premium account.
Right. So
you don't get multiplayer functionality without paying a monthly fee. That's right. Everybody who said that PlayStation was better because it was free, it's not free anymore. So if that was your big sticking point, was the freeness, that's gone. But for us, being that their quality of servers being shit was a sticking point, now it's potential for us to be able to say, let's check it out. Maybe their servers are better.
I'm sure we will.
I mean, I'd love to be able to play a Killzone game and have it not be broken by bad server connections and shit.
And I said this in episode 2, and I stick by it, and I always will stick by it. If PlayStation had
You're fucking up. You're fucking with my business, David. You're fucking with my business.
If PlayStation had an online service that was as good as Xbox Live, I would switch over in a second.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see.
So hopefully they'll do that and they'll make it better, and I'll have a reason to switch over to what looks like, and I'm trying to stay impartial here, but what looks like it's going to be a better console. And if any of you know John and I well enough, you will know that what I said is almost akin to blasphemy.
Look at this guy.
I can't see
you should
that
close.
guy.
You close that. There's two guys. I gotta make more room.
What's up, big guy?
I'm gonna kill this headset here.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're probably gonna get an echo, dude.
That's fine.
Because
is it fine?
Joe and Matt Slater are in here. Let's make sure I can get some space here. Okay. Shuffle. Shuffle.
Are we like here? Yeah, I mean you're live.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, David?
All right, so
David's house.
Yeah. Well.
What the hell were we talking about just now?
We were talking about the fact that we're thinking that the things that we like about the PS4.
All right, Johnny, you need to scoot over, bro. You need to get back in there. All right. Yeah. So, like I was saying, the only thing that was ever keeping me from the PS4 was the online service, and if they can, and it sounds like they're really trying. So if they can get it working the way that it needs to be working, I will switch over.
Right. Hey, with the how much, Joe? What do you know about this?
I read all the news, and I didn't watch any of the conferences because that's what we're here to do tonight. Is to do that. That's the thing that John and I do every year. But I read everything, and I've had both the whole, not the whole time. I actually got a PS3 before I got a 360. But I would have to say, judging by what I read that they said, it sounds like they're really trying to bolster that aspect of it, and the fact that it's $100 cheaper and I can still use my GameFly account.
Right.
I mean, it's
right, which is good.
Even the notion of having to pay for online play, as someone like yourself who has Xbox, like that's not news to me. So I'm not upset.
Right.
And
I actually welcome it because I always say you get what you pay for. So I want them to charge.
If they want to make that, like, oh, you have to have, PSN Plus in order to
you do. It's
online play.
It's a $5 monthly fee or
That's
whatever.
Fine.
To be able to play
I'm
online.
totally okay with that. If that means that I can still
What's going on, Bear Man?
get better service, I can get better matchmaking that I've come to expect on Xbox by paying for it on PSN. That's fine.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's what we're hoping is that now that they're going to be charging and people are going to be forced to pay it, that they're going to be able to use that money to, make the service more awesome than it is, I guess.
Yeah, but Steam is free, and Steam works fine.
No, with Steam, aren't the servers run by the game developers, or is Steam running their own servers? No, Steam does run their own servers for stuff.
Steam has its overlay, but I've never played a multiplayer game where the in-game comms were handled by Steam. It was always handled by the game.
No, that's true. That is true.
Or you're using TeamSpeak.
Skype.
Right. Now, yeah. Joe, before we continue, why don't you tell people who you are?
Hi. Hi, Internet. I'm Joe. I run a little website called onthestick.com. It's a podcasting network. We like to talk about video games. We also talk about professional wrestling and action movies. So
right.
you should go there and check that out when you're done here.
Yeah. We'll put links somewhere for people.
Yeah.
We're cool like that. Slater's just an awesome guy.
He worked for GameStop very recently.
He did, in fact.
I did not. That's not a thing I can say.
He's not allowed to say
You didn't
that.
say it.
No, I'm not allowed.
If it were true, he would not be allowed to say it.
He's worked in the industry in some fashion for a number of years.
I worked for a massive video game retailer that will name one name.
All right.
Except for when it was named.
So, why don't we move into what was actually covered in some of these conferences?
Well, let's talk about some of the games. I mean, what were there were some of the more like obscure...
I want to start with the 360 games, which there were 3 revealed, and I don't remember one of them because they weren't all that great.
Can I geek out about something while John looks this up?
Yeah, go nuts.
Max, The Curse of Brotherhood. It's an XBLA game that got revealed at the show. It looks amazing. It's being developed by a small European developer, whose name I can't remember at this point. But it looks like a very cool 2D platformer, which is my cup of tea. Those are the games that I love to play more than just about anything, and it looks
right. And that's the one that the beginning cinematic looks something like a Pixar movie, right?
Yeah,
where the kid's brother is stolen.
Oh yeah.
That looks really cool.
So it's Labyrinth, the video game.
Kind of,
except the downside being that Jennifer Connelly's not in it.
It's a 2D platformer, and then Rayman Legends, which is not at the Xbox reveal, but was revealed at the show.
Right.
It's also fucking rad. So
was that revealed? That was a thing we knew about already, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Ubisoft revealed it, but that's sort of off topic.
Is that in there? Maybe that's in their conference.
That's in Ubisoft's
Okay,
conference. So.
I didn't watch it. All right, so
as for the 360 games, what I'm most excited about is Dark Souls 2.
Okay, I have your list up here, and we're talking about the $4.99 price point, which is $100 more than they
with a November launch date.
With a November launch date, whereas the PS4 is not confirmed a launch date, though it's likely.
It's likely September.
The same.
Right around the same time.
I think it's September. I can't tell
2
you,
free
I can't
games per month to download and keep forever.
On Xbox Live, yeah.
On Xbox Live with the Gold membership.
With 1 free game for PlayStation Plus.
Right. And the 2 that they already confirmed for the start are Halo 3 and Assassin's Creed 2.
Right, and then they confirmed 3 for the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation 4, one of which was Don't Starve. And I don't remember the other 2. I think the other 2 were both. They were all indie games.
Okay.
Which is rad. I love to see indie games get more play, but doesn't everybody have a copy of Don't Starve at this point?
Everybody but John.
Had so many. Dude, I can find you a beta. Do the beta keys still work, or is that over now?
I think so.
So I had a whole bunch of people who were like, I got extra beta codes, you get the full game once it's out.
Was that like when Luke couldn't get rid of all of his Dota 2 keys?
Yeah.
I have people offering me Dota 2 keys lately, too. Everyone's like, want a Dota 2 key? I'm like, no, I sure don't.
Do you want to hate yourself?
Right.
No, not at all. I already
Okay,
do,
so here's what I've got for your list. Rise, which is the Roman era game.
Rise looks really fucking cool. Like
looks really
I think that there aren't enough Roman era movies and video games. To be honest, like Gladiator is one of my favorite movies. I want more like Roman era shit because I actually like that era. So Rise looks really cool, not only because it's a Roman era thing, but because it's your standard like third person run around beat the shit out of everything. But there's also the commander aspect of it where you point at an objective and you hit the button and send your guys over there while you go off and do something else, which I think is really cool. They had the first level, I think, or a demo or something that they played on stage at the reveal, and it was about maybe 10 minutes, and it was really fucking cool looking, really brutal. Every kill ended in like a QTE, like cinematic type stabbing.
That's a plus point?
No.
It's the idea of
it's not really a QTE. It's just, you beat the guy up and then B appears above his head and you hit B and do this cool cinematic thing.
It's no different
It's
than
like a finisher.
Dante's Inferno or
Yeah. It's like it's a finisher. So it looked really cool.
Kelly, I believe that they intend to be offering popular titles that are 2 years old or whatever as the free games.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of stuff you'll see in the on-demand on Xbox Live.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that means that you can get, 24 games in a year for free that, sure, maybe they're old games, but maybe it's one of those games that you were like, when it came out, you kind of wanted to play it but never got around to it.
Well,
Bam,
look at it this way, John. It comes back to the no used games. So if you're not sure about wanting to buy a game, don't buy it if you're not sure, because you can't trade it in. But if you wait a little while, maybe you'll be able to get it for free on one of those months.
Maybe.
I mean, that's cool, I guess. It's not really a substitute. It's not really,
No, not at all. It's not even remotely a substitute.
Right, but it's still something that kind of alleviates the pain, I guess.
The thing that scares me is that they didn't address continued price point for Xbox Live.
Well, it's probably because
they said afterwards
it'll probably stay the same.
Oh,
Same.
they did. Okay. So they didn't address it on stage.
All right, now the second game, which I think Joe is probably going to be more excited about than I am.
Oh, right.
It's on your list because Joe's a fighting game guy. They announced Killer Instinct as an Xbox title.
Okay, so hold on. Let's clear the air right here. I like fighting games more than you. I wouldn't qualify myself as a fighting game guy in case my friend Morbid Coffee is tuning into this and having an apoplexy right now.
You're far more of a fighting game than a guy.
I am, but you know what? Let me let everybody in on a little secret. Everybody who's hype about this, everybody who's jazzed about this, Killer Instinct sucks. And it's always sucked.
But Joe,
even if it hadn't always sucked, the Stamper Brothers left Rare, 5 years ago? So
right. But the thing about Killer Instinct is it's regardless of your opinion of it, it's kind of like an iconic fighting game of that era. Where anytime somebody says, "Dude, Killer Instinct," everybody's like, "Oh, I remember that King Combo." Blah blah blah. Everybody knows what Killer Instinct is.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't play it much because I was more of I like Street Fighter and I like Mortal Kombat and shit like that. So I didn't really get into
Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I wasn't into the super fast combo type stuff. So I just wasn't good at it. But the fact that it's back and everybody thought it was gone is going to generate some interest.
Killer
It's an exclusive.
Killer Instinct is highly regarded in the same way that MVC2 was highly regarded till it got re-released on XBLA and PSN. That it was a game you hadn't played in a long time.
Right.
You were really loving it, and as you played it again, you'd be like, "This kind of sucks."
So wait, it's the equivalent of Silverhawks.
Yeah, every other cartoon from your
a cartoon that you're like, man, I fucking love the shit out of this cartoon, and then you
I wish I
finally
could
get the
watch Silverhawks
DVDs
again.
and you watch it and you go, man, I wish I could unwatch this cartoon. I could just remember it being awesome.
Yeah, because it ended up being really, really shitty.
So I will tell you that Eric, my buddy from On the Stick, and I, probably about a year and change ago, we decided for some stupid reason that we were going to play a bunch of old, less well-remembered fighting games from the 16
Did
and
you play
32-bit
Killer
era.
Instinct?
I did play Killer Instinct, and it's total garbage.
Right.
But their scheme for releasing it is really weird too, because originally I heard it was going to be League of Legends, basically. You get Jago for free. and then you have to buy each individual other character. And then I heard that, well, that's one option, but you can also just pay $60 and get the whole game. But otherwise, you can like buy it like character by character.
That's weird.
That is super weird.
But at the reveal, when they just showed a teaser trailer of it,
Which
so originally I had in my notes
their gameplay footage, like where they did the on stage, like 2 people play the game, was the most ham-handed, retarded, scripted bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Could they have written worse natural dialogue for that
right.
exchange?
But that's what E3 has kind of turned into, man. You can't really.
Yeah, it's.
But regardless,
so we're not going to talk about the rape joke controversy in that.
There was a rape joke.
Yeah, she's getting whooped up by this dude, and he says something really offensive, like shh, it'll all be over soon.
Just take it. It'll all be over. Or just let it happen.
Just let it happen.
That whole little match they did was to showcase when he won. He did the instant upload of gameplay where you can add effects to the video and everything, and then upload it. And then she beat him the next round to showcase their partnership with Twitch, which I kind of want to talk about a little later. Right. Because Twitch, the partnership with Twitch is actually really fucking cool.
We're on, yeah.
So Twitch. So we might as well move on to Sunset
Overdrive, which I believe is the one with the kid. It looks like the Alex Kidd one, or whatever, or the not Alex Kidd. It looks like the kid in the leather jacket, right?
Yeah, and it's open world. It's got really cartoony, stylized graphics.
It looked cool. That was.
It does look pretty cool. Lots of free running, and he's grabbing random weapons and stuff, and. Yeah, I mean, that
was clearly like a cinematic trailer, though. I don't think that was gameplay, but it still shows you what kind of shit that they're going to do.
Anytime you see a game with a lot of free running like that kind of stuff with wall running and grabbing things mid-jump shit, whether it's cinematic or gameplay, I'll always have the same problem of, is that either going to be obnoxiously repetitive in practice or insanely frustrating in practice?
Well, John, look at it this way. You like Infamous.
True.
And Infamous is kind of the same game.
Is there a lot of running and like parkour shit in Infamous, though? Yeah. That's like a Mirror's Edge.
It's It's not nearly as much as Mirror's Edge, which Mirror's Edge 2 we won't talk about. Or the reboot or whatever.
Not Mirror's Edge 2, really. Whatever. The new Mirror's Edge.
Right, the reboot or whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so Sunset Overdrive we like. We think it looks good.
It looks pretty cool. Like I said, there was no gameplay footage, so I'm not going to say if I like it or not. But it looks interesting, and I'm gonna check out some more stuff about it.
Okay, well, we're moving along then. We'll clip right through here. Forza 5 with the Drivatar.
All right, we are not driving or like racing game fans at all.
Drivatar is the most insulting, like, corporate portmanteau bullshit word.
Well, right, and that's why in my notes I have LOL at Drivatar.
Yeah.
But what the Drivatar is actually really cool. Like, did you play Joe? I know John didn't, and I don't know, maybe you guys. Did you guys ever play Soul Calibur 2 on the arcade?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you play Conquest mode?
No.
After you beat the game, whoever beats the game unlocks Conquest mode. And in Conquest mode, there are 4 territories.
Wait. David, is this from the part of your life where you were that arcade legend where people like saw your name souls and were like,
John. We'll get to this. But in Conquest mode, you choose like whatever character you want to use, and you name it. And that's the character you use anytime you log in. Like on the arcade is weird, but you just do like a series of moves as your password to log into your character. And so say you ally with each time one country takes over all 4, then you restart and you can choose a different allegiance. But so you choose the red country or whatever, and you start attacking these other countries. Well, the game actually learns from your move set. Like the thing, I would assume it's just you use this a whole bunch of times, so it thinks you really like that. So it learns your play style so that when you're not there and someone attacks your country, they have a chance of fighting your character, and he'll play the way you play.
Oh yeah, I did. I think I did play that actually.
No, with the Drivatar thing though, they're saying
I think that's what it is.
There are no actual AI drivers in the game.
Right,
so
it's all your Drivatars.
So when you're not actively playing, your character data is functioning as AI in other people's games all over the world.
Right,
And
so if you're an asshole player that likes to ram into people all the time, your Drivatar is going to do that while
your Drivatar is out there while you're sleeping.
Stop saying Drivatar.
Driving your car.
That's what it's called, man. We gotta
into people.
So, but that doesn't make me care about Forza.
Using your name.
No. Not at all. But let's say you were already someone who cared about Forza. This would probably be something cool.
I really, really like Forza a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought my father an Xbox 2 Christmases ago to buy him Forza 4.
Are you excited about the? Let's not call it the Drivatar, but are you excited about the concept?
I think it's cool. I think that I like the notion that a game will play. I'm terrible.
Joe, what do you want to call it?
Slater, do you like it in the same way that I like the fantasy football integration for the Xbox One? I'm never going to be in a fantasy
football. You're never going to use it, but it's still kind of cool.
It's a cool level of immersion if someone wants to use it. And I think that
if it works,
if it works,
that it works. But as someone who likes to play Forza, and like I had employees at my nondescript old employer that loved the shit out of Forza and tuned the shit out of cars. But they would. I mean, and that was great. And like he could have that presence in the game when he's not playing the game. It is. I know Joe hates this, but it's like Animal Crossing. Like the game plays itself when I'm not there, and that encourages me to play it more because I need to be better.
That is exactly what happened with me in Soul Calibur 2. Like, I was there playing all the fucking time because I heard one person say, holy shit, that Ziggy guy, I can't beat him. And I was like, fuck yeah, I got to keep my record now. So I literally had 1,000 more kills than the guy under me on the leaderboard.
But then once people
one
start
day they
beating
saw
you,
him playing and they were like, oh my god.
But then once people start beating you, you're now motivated to go back to the arcade.
It was ridiculous.
To be like, I've got to change up my strategy.
It was like he was a character in The Wizard or something.
And I've got to make sure that my presence still counts because people are beating the shit out of me now.
Right.
But they're not beating the shit out of you. They're beating the shit out of like your shadow.
Yeah, but if you immerse yourself into it, technically they're beating the shit out of you.
They're crushing your essence, Joe. Like the footprint that you've made in this game is.
I'm offended. We're spending way too much time
talking
about Drivatar.
All right, so let's move on to the Minecraft Xbox One edition.
It looks like
probably just Minecraft.
It's just a bigger version.
Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be Minecraft on the scale of maybe the PC without all the mods that people use to make it fun now.
Right.
It's going to be vanilla Minecraft, which to me is still pretty fun. Like, I like Minecraft.
Quantum Break was the one where they were like freezing time and walking through all like the debris and the explosions.
That's multi-platform, right?
Yeah.
They said it was exclusive. I have it for some reason. I have it under my exclusive list. It might not be. Who knows? But it's tied into a TV show of the same name.
Oh, that's right. They said how you play is going to affect the TV show, which.
I don't believe it all.
Yeah. They tried to do that with Defiance
too, and it didn't really.
And they couldn't.
Season 2 is going to be tied into.
It was game. They had filmed the entire season 1 of Defiance before the game even came out, so it's not like anything you did in it would change it.
Okay, so Quantum Break looks pretty cool, but
it does look cool.
Moving right along, D4, which is the murder mystery.
Which I immediately thought of Joe when I saw the D4.
I know that's a Joe type of game for sure.
You know, because I bought you the Premonition for
which
your birthday.
We're going to be playing.
We are going to do a whole playthrough of that on VirtualBromance. Yeah. But I immediately thought of Joe because I know he's into like the Suda 51 stuff, and like No More Heroes and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that
it kind of looks.
It has a really cool look to it. The gameplay it's really QTE heavy, which I know that Joe's super into.
Yeah, not at all. But what was interesting to me is the name D4, because so Kenji Eno, who was the dude, it's okay, it's gonna make it really nerdy here for a second. Kenji Eno died last year. He was a dude who ran a company called Warp Games. Warp Games made only a few games. The 3 most noteworthy were D, Enemy Zero, and D2. So now Swery, who's kind of like an equally weird, sort of kitschy, bizarre Japanese designer, is coming out with a game called D4 the year after Kenji Eno died. So I don't know if this is supposed to be like
an homage or
something. Yeah, an homage or a tribute to Kenji Eno.
It could be. I mean, would that make it cooler for you?
Yes, that would make it
cooler. Well, then let's just say that it is, then.
I just feel like
let's say it is.
So let's go with that. Unless that's just a weird working title and it ends up being called something.
All right, let's continue to not stay bogged down because we're still in the Xbox list here. Project Spark, which is really hard to explain.
It's like a cumbersome little big planet.
Right, but it looks.
But but it has weird gameplay mechanics in it to where you can
Build
make a game within a game.
Shit like that.
Right, like Little Big Planet.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Like Little Big Planet 2.
Okay.
It's basically like a 3D big open world Little Big Planet, I guess. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah.
What I didn't see, what they didn't say about it, is that the thing with Little Big Planet at the beginning was, and they initially kind of ironed this out, like eventually the cream rose to the top, but the problem is you had to mire through a lot of shit to play anything that was cool.
Piles
That's what happened to me, and I traded it in like a month after I got it.
Yeah, just mountains of dicks and...
That's like when you randomly get stuck in Infamous 2. It's like, oh, you got to do a bunch of user-generated fucking challenges, and half of them are not even completed. They're like broken fucking obstacle courses and shit.
And then there were some that were like in Little Big Planet, and Little Big Planet 2, there were some that were just like straight up to get the trophies. So it would just be a level where you'd like step on a thing and it would like throw you way up in the air and you'd get like the "you jumped way up in the air" trophy. You know what I mean? Like it did that kind of shit, and so like separating the wheat from the chaff became difficult, and it does with any user generated content thing. So that's always my concern.
Right. So hopefully they'll have some kind of some kind of way to sort it to where it'll be like most popular or a star system so that users can
star system is what they use for UGC stuff. Yeah.
My concern though is that it looks like you can go into pieces of UGC and then edit them yourselves.
Yeah.
In real time as you're playing it.
You're telling me that the game is essentially like Wikipedia?
It's liquid. The game is liquid. Yeah, it's Wikipedia of the game.
It's not. I mean, technically, it's not even really a game.
Yeah, it's just a creative outlet, but it seems like the internet is full of assholes. Like, I think that we're all aware of this. We're on the internet. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the problem is, you're just
I thought I was a unique snowflake.
Imagine like how much it sucks to like troll a thread, like in the littlest pet shop.
To troll a thread. What are you talking about?
Or the whatever like kids do, and you just troll the shit out of it, and it's fun. You ruin their dreams. But now that they're in the middle of the game, and you just throw up a wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm just going to be a dick and wreck your game because I can.
Well, let's hope that you can set it to friends only and not have people come into your shit and fuck it up.
It seems like you're losing a lot of the functionality.
I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, there is so much
it seems like
juvenile behavior within these kind of structures.
To get the most out of the service that they're trying to provide, from being able to real-time edit levels on tablets through smart glass and all that stuff. It's really interesting. But it requires people to play nice.
I mean, David, didn't you mention when we were playing Terraria that there was problems with people like jumping into games and fucking them up for no reason?
Yeah, they'll jump in and just dynamite your entire little town and break everything and steal all your shit and stuff like that. So that's why I always play friends only. But.
Going back to Dark Souls or Demon Souls, like people just trolling levels.
Yeah, leave a note that says like awesome stuff here, and then you go over there and you fall to your death or something. Yeah.
Well, I will never trust a note. All right.
Some notes are pretty good. But there's a rating system on the notes, though. You can say how helpful it was. So if you come up to a note and everybody's saying this note's stupid, then don't follow it. But
all right. So
that didn't work out the first day it came out because
you got this listed as Halo 5, but when I watched the conference, it just is listed as Halo. But it is Halo 5.
Well, I mean, technically, if it's not going to be called Halo 5, it's more like Halo 7. But yeah.
Halo, stupid subtitle.
Right.
60
frames per second, though.
Yes, and the reason this is important is because on a console, the only other like FPS it's that 60 frames per second is the Call of Duty series. And that's why they're so popular, is because they're so fluid, and they look great. Everybody talks about how badass the graphics are, and that's because it's 60 frames per second.
When Battlefield 4 finally got running, it was running at 60.
I don't give a fuck if Left 4 Dead runs at 30. It's still more fun than fucking Halo. Like,
well, you kind of have to look at it that way because every other game on a console is 30 frames per second. So
right, but even on I don't play. So at this point, I play TF2 and Left 4 Dead on PC, but I don't play them on PC because they run at higher frame rate. Like that's just where my bros are,
right.
And I just don't care about Halo. Like nothing can make me care about it.
Yeah, I'm a Halo fan when it comes to the single player and the co-op, but not the multiplayer.
I know that Halo has one of the worst multiplayer communities of any multiplayer game. No, you have this listed in your non-exclusive list, but I know that it is in fact a Xbox One, 360, and PC release. There's no something, which is Titanfall, which is the one that I am really, really nuts about.
I am also really, really nuts about Titanfall.
We'll totally be playing that on PC.
which is fine. I mean, it's any of the three, I suppose. But it looks amazing. It's Respawn doing it, and yeah, like the soldiers running around, the graphics and the fluidity of it. It looks like a Call of Duty game. But then you have mechs.
But with giant robots.
With giant humanoid mechs.
Futuristic, and I'm not talking about futuristic as dumb as Black Ops 2 was. Futuristic Call of Duty game is something that I've always wanted for a really long time.
I mean, I guess it feels like Killzone and Call of Duty had a beautiful, beautiful baby.
And then they were like, "Hey, Gundam, come over and hang out."
And I didn't see the actual like in-game footage, but they did address afterwards that there are going to be distinct advantages and disadvantages to playing as the pilot by himself and the pilot.
Right, well, they're trying to balance it.
They were talking. I think they are not going with destructible environments so that you have more access to smaller areas without your mech. But your mech
John,
also
hold on. Let's be realistic. They're not going with destructible environments because DICE has a patent on frostbite, and it's amazing.
Sure. But I know that they want you to be forced to do separate things depending on whether you're in the mech or not. And I know that they want you to be hopping in and out of the mech throughout missions that you're in.
So it's like
they don't want you to wait your 15 seconds and then get in a mech and stay in it the entire time.
Right. So what it looks like from the gameplay they showed is that when you hop out of the mech, it goes into AI control and kind of follows you, like passively, or even doing like minimal just defensive maneuvering while you're running around outside of the mech, and then you can run back over and slide between its legs, and it grabs you and jams you up inside itself.
Right, which is fucking cool. Fucking cool, if not a little weird.
Yeah,
I was really interested to see what Weston Zampanella came up with, because the last Call of Duty game that I even tolerated was the last one that they worked on.
Yeah.
This is the one that John and I talk about.
We talk about the last really good one.
Well, yeah. Well, David, you and I played a lot of the the Spec Ops mode, the two-player mode. Yeah. And so when they left to form Respawn, that's been years ago now, and I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And my fear was that it would be like another modern day military shooter, which is not at all what I want.
That's exactly what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, and so now that it's giant fighting robots, I was like, oh.
It's pretty
cool.
kick-ass. Yeah, it's pretty much all I could ever hope for.
Badass wall running and
yeah, there's wall running
jet thing.
2013 year of the wall run.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. No, so I'm really, really excited about Titanfall. The only thing that's a little bit confusing about it, and it seems to be
is there a campaign?
Right, and this is actually a common element that I've noticed in a couple of different games. I don't remember what the other ones were, but I think it was the Microsoft conference. Maybe it was in the Sony conference, but I know that one or two other games that were announced had the same sort of wording where they keep talking about how they want things to be immersive and involved like a single-player campaign while it is a multiplayer game. So that to me means that there isn't actually a single-player campaign aspect to Titanfall. There's multiplayer campaign aspect. So you get drop in, drop out, you're doing missions in multiplayer with teams. It looked like 12-person teams in the one gameplay video. And those things are advancing some sort of story, but there's no, you plug the game in and play alone.
Well, and they have to be really careful with that, because I know you didn't play it, but Brink was terrible, and Brink was just like that.
Yeah,
Brink was real bad. Brink was bad.
I was so excited about Brink. I was there on launch day. I had been watching all kinds of videos and shit on it the months leading up to it, and I brought it home, and I was like, this is fucking dumb.
I think I have it on Steam.
The problem with Brink was that you had to play with bots if you didn't have a team.
Right.
And that it was an objective-based shooter, and that no one understood objectives. And I'm like, you're killing people all day. That's fucking fine. We have to get to this point, or we're not doing anything.
Oh,
right.
that's
and your bots. And if you couldn't find people to be on your team, your bots didn't do the objectives. It was stupid.
No, yeah, they were a waste of ammo and space.
That's the thing, and in games like that, if you don't have a dude to play with,
you need dude power
to play with. Then it totally sucks.
Right.
And the problem is see, now what you just said makes me less excited about this game, because can I guarantee that I'll have enough dudes
I think
as long as there's a matchmaking, as long as there's matchmaking in the game, it'll be fine because every game will be full or close to it. If you have to search servers or you know, not necessarily if there's matchmaking, but if the matchmaking is good. Let's look at Call of Duty's matchmaking. Everybody, you know, as much as you want to shit talk Call of Duty because, you know, it's Call of Duty, the matchmaking is fucking phenomenal.
Sure, we could say that, or we could say that we spent an hour trying to get a single fucking match.
That was on an old game, though. That's the problem with Call of Duty is they're going to come out every year, and people are always going to move on to the next one. If the next one's not good and we want to go back and play an older one, we're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people still keep the torch burning for older games. Dude, there were people playing Halo 2 multiplayer until Microsoft turned off the servers.
Yeah.
Like years after. Like, you wouldn't want to play with them. No, I wouldn't want to play with them. But I'm saying there will always be people who to a certain extent gravitate to older games. But the thing about what you're saying, what John's saying about, you know, that there'll be all these games have multiplayer components and maybe that's the only component. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like, I feel like at this point, you know, like with Battlefield 3, everybody I know who played it referred to the single-player campaign as essentially a coaster. Like, I know people who never even put that fucking disc in their box.
Right.
I played through it just because, you know, I had it on Xbox and I wanted the achievements from it. And I actually kind of liked it. I always play the single-player campaign when I get an FPS first. Because I mean I like it. But.
I think we've talked about this before. I know that I feel like the single player campaign in an FPS is like it's like a training sim to learn how to be good at the multiplayer.
And they're always super short, they're like 5, 6, maybe 7 hours, because the developers know that their game is going to be more popular online, and that's what they want to do. You know, it's like Call of Duty. Call of Duty's campaigns are always, I mean, they're cool and that the story is pretty alright, but it's the same every time because they're like, well, let's not innovate too much on this single player shit because we want to spend all of our resources on this multiplayer.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, why even waste the money for all the assets and the voice actors?
Right. So maybe they're not doing that anymore. Maybe Titanfall's not doing that. Maybe they're like, fuck it, let's make our multiplayer as badass as we can and not waste time on a campaign.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's time that these developers are saying, we're not going to piss away the time and money on a campaign that nobody gives a shit about.
And then couple that with the fact that the Xbox One has the always online DRM, they might as well make games that are always online. I mean, they might as well take advantage of it.
They might as well exploit it or come up with an excuse for it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And as they've been instituting, like with things like Smart Glass and like off-box applications for managing your characters or loadouts or any of that stuff, like you feel a sense of progression where you don't need a single player to really feel like you're moving. Like you can constantly be, even if you're not leveling up per se, you're still managing your character the way through. And there's a certain persistence to it.
And I'll be honest, doing things in games that are awesome are way more awesome when other people know you did them. I'm just saying. That's why the gamer tag or the gamer score thing got so popular.
Yeah, that's all e-peen waving though. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. But
I'm a giant e-peen, bro. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I've heard.
He's got over.
I've got a micro e-peen.
He's got over 120,000 gamer score.
121,000 now that I've finished Call of Juarez.
But you know, you get a special Chivo if you buy the Xbox One on launch day.
Do you? Well, I was already going to buy it on launch day. But,
if you buy it on launch day, if you get suckered in. Sorry, David, if you get suckered in.
Hey, man. It doesn't matter whether I like the console or not. It's a next-gen console, so I'm buying it.
Certain games. There's like 4 pieces.
Well, I wasn't going to buy it on launch day, but now I'm thinking about it.
Right? You got to get that achievement.
$500
Look, if it's not 50 points or more, I don't want it. I don't.
There is that.
But before we move on to the games that were in the Xbox reveal,
let's just do a quick run through for these multi-platform ones.
I wanted to talk about the shit that's not a game, like the Smart Glass and how cool the Smart Glass kind of is. But more importantly,
let's do a quick.
More importantly, the partnership with Twitch and getting rid of Spacebucks.
We'll get to that in a second here. So Crimson Dragon Panzer Dragoon, made by the same people.
Panzer Dragoon.
They
bro.
boned it on the demo in the conference because the audio
We
was
were
off.
talking about that in the car on the way over.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I want to play. It's not a thing that I'll pay $60 for.
I like Panzer Dragoon, so I'll probably.
I do too, but I'm not going to pay $60
Yeah, I'm not
for
paying
it.
$60.
Okay.
An on-rail shooter, yeah.
Dead Rising 3 looks pretty kick-ass.
Dead Rising 3, I'm super
if you're a fan of
excited
Dead Rising, that is.
Dead Rising 3 is an exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, so I left it in
They
there.
announced it. Well, it's they coming out exclusively for it. They'll port it later.
It's timed
It's
exclusive.
a window.
Right.
Okay,
They'll port
but that looks kick-ass.
It looks super fucking kick-ass.
Witcher 3 looks really cool.
I never got into the series.
Right.
I can get behind
I watched the trailer and I thought it looked cool. I've never played it
I've
anyway.
heard
I was
really-
like,
It
it
was
looks
fun.
pretty
I like The Witcher 2. I didn't play the first one.
good. Battlefield 4, look, we have plenty of time.
There's more. We're gonna have to talk about that later because there's more info now that I found out last night.
Over the weeks, David can wave his Battlefield 4 boner around all he likes.
We talked about it earlier, how it has a gun belt and helicopter
Yeah.
propeller and stuff on it.
So
yeah.
we don't really need to delve into Battlefield 4 because it's going to be something we're going to cover.
Shooty dudes shooting
Below, which is a roguelike game.
Below, I am excited about because Below is an exclusive, also, or at least a timed exclusive, and that's from Cappy Games.
Right, and I wish there was more info on it, but there really wasn't. It was a teaser trailer.
Yeah, I'm super jazzed. Their next game is called Super Time Force, which I played at PAX, and holy shit, I'm super excited for that. That'll be out before
there
Below.
was a lot of supers in that.
Yeah.
In that.
Yes.
Well, it was Superman. What do you want
It
to
was super. That's all there is to it. But I'm jazzed about Below because it.
You just avoided a super.
I just avoided a super on purpose. That's about Below because I like. They do good work.
All right. All right. Well, so that's now, David. You wanted to talk about
The reason I want to talk about the partnership with Twitch is because it affects you and me, like personally.
Would you say that it affects you and I?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Could be.
Because
Yeah.
because we do a lot of stuff with Twitch. I do more than you do, but now that you have a hop pouch, maybe you'll.
Yeah, the one that's sitting in the
as
box
well.
right there. Yeah, my capture device.
Like I said yesterday, having an exclusive partnership with Twitch is cool because people will be able to do that straight from their console. They won't have to buy an external capture card, which $200 or $150 to $200 they don't have to spend. They won't have to spend money on a streaming program like we use, like XSplit, things like that, because they'll be able to do it straight from their console. And I think that's really cool, and it's going to make a lot more people do it. But what I'm worried about is not being able to like edit the screen like we have, like put face cams, or when we were doing the stuff with the AmPsych music, I was putting the now playing down at the bottom from iTunes and shit like that, so people knew what we were listening to. I wonder if they're going to be able to do that, or if it's just going to be a straight what you see on your TV is what's streamed to Twitch.
It seems like with the mandatory connect functionality, that doing face cams would be like a PI, like we're doing right now. Like
yeah,
that's
maybe.
There's the P&P of the three of us.
But when we stream things, we use a lot of the screen region stuff where we put like some text here, or
a picture of a wiener,
a picture over there,
So we
probably templated, I would imagine.
I would hope so. Yeah.
I hope so. Well, it's saved. I feel like it's saved to your profile. I haven't really done much of the streaming. Some other guys on our site have done more.
Right. I stream every day. Whatever.
And the thing is, like, the thing that bothers. I mean, I think it's a really cool idea. I don't think I'm going to use it, mostly because I'm not going to buy an Xbox One,
what are you doing, John?
but also because, like, I play a lot of vintage games, and so I still have to dig around for and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's a really awesome thing, and I'm sad that Sony didn't get the same deal. Apparently.
Yeah, they got it with Ustream, and I had never heard of Ustream until last month.
I know that it exists.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Twitch TV is so much more popular than Ustream that Microsoft really lucked out cashing in on that exclusive partnership, and it feels like PlayStation got the sloppy seconds with Ustream. Yeah, which is weird because they announced it first when they first unveiled the PS4. They're talking about the share button and all the shit that did and all this stuff.
And they were like, and we've got a partnership with somebody. It's a shitty site.
Well, that kind of begs the question that maybe Twitch TV is only super popular in the U.S.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Just like the Xbox, it seems to be a lot more popular in the U.S. than anyone else.
Yes. The Genesis was the same way, though, to be fair.
It was a U.S. popular?
It was U.S. and British. Sorry to all your British viewers if I slighted
British
you.
viewers.
John,
The Genesis,
Yeah.
the Mega Drive is really popular. And
everybody
just-
check that link out that John just put down there. You know, you might as well.
That's for the EP. There's some other stuff you can find on Amazon.
So why
Just
don't
ask if I want music.
and the last part would be getting rid of Spacebucks, which I'm really glad that they're doing.
Oh my God! Finally.
Yeah, no shit.
But you know, are they still going to be sold in sorted denominations? That's the one thing I love about PlayStation.
I think that it's going to be like PlayStation now.
Okay.
Like,
or if it's
much
over
like-
$5, you can just buy something.
Right, much like what they do right now with the when you're buying digital copies of games now. It's $1 a month. It's like $19.99, and you just pay from your credit card. You don't have to buy Spacebucks for that.
Nice.
Like when I was just looking up the Metal Gear HD stuff for David, they have that for like $20. It's $19.99. Buy it. You just pay.
Right, so that you don't have 30 cents in your account that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, a couple Spacebucks. Now, so David, we're halfway through here with the conference stuff. We could probably take a break so that we can split this into 2 videos, so that we don't have over a 2-hour video.
Well, I could just. I mean, if you want to take a break, let's take a break. But I can cut the video into.
Yeah, I think we should take a break so I can catch a smoke.
All right.
Okay. Get these guys some sodas, maybe,
I like soda.
and then we can come back and we can do the whole PS4 discussion. We can do
Wait,
our
are we
top-
wrapped? Are we wrapped on Microsoft?
I
Yeah,
think so.
we're gonna be moving into
So
PS4 now.
I just want to get this out there before we wrap on Microsoft. As even the things that I'm saying I like, the things that I'm saying that I'm into, I feel like Microsoft dropped the ball so fucking amazingly badly that none of that
They're
shit
overshadowed. They're overshadowed by the rest.
$500.
And Joe, we're gonna after we're done with the PlayStation part, we're gonna talk about the
We're
comparison.
gonna have a dick measuring contest
Yeah,
between the two.
Which
Yeah.
I mean, we've already pretty much said that. The reality is that Sony did a really good job, which it was about time because they really were jamming their own dick up their ass for the last 4 or 5 years. The PS3 was falling on its face repeatedly with a number of things.
It was
a prolonged shitting of that.
Well,
So
it was, but now they're
so
about
now-
even in terms of install base.
Right, but now, I mean, I feel like it was about time for Sony to do something really right, and I think that what they're doing with the PS4 is really right. I wanted Microsoft to see these things and go, oh shit, let's fix some of this shit so that we're not screwing up the whole system and pissing people off, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that. I really hope that maybe we see some changes. I don't think it's possible now. I think it's too late. I think now that they've done all the E3 reveals, we're stuck with it the way that it's going to
I
be.
think there's time for them to backtrack. There's always time to backtrack.
Well,
They can back off that Ozone DRM shit. They can back off of they can back off a lot of that shit.
But here's the thing with my rap on Microsoft is that they're clearly positioning themselves as being a living room media hub box that also plays video games, which is the same mistake that Sony made this current generation.
Right.
Was that was their focus, and Xbox was like, no, dude, we'll make games and we'll make the best gaming platform.
Which it's really ironic that they would do the exact
Microsoft
thing.
did the exact same thing, from proprietary chipsets to the bullshit DRM stuff, where they're just like they want it to just be a box in your room that you can also use to play games, but do a bunch of other shit with that's also pretty cool.
Right.
And is watching you unless you actively make it stop.
Which obviously we'll be doing from day one.
There'll be there'll be like a blanket over that
The
thing.
amount of times that I fall asleep in front of my Xbox, like there could be a dude on a server just being like,
the thing about all this shit with Prism and the NSA's programs that just came out, that makes me horrified that the thing has to be on all the time.
Right.
it doesn't. You can turn it off.
I thought you could not turn it off or disconnect it.
You have to actively turn it off.
Yeah, you have to go into the privacy settings, I think, and change it.
Yeah, and then the functionality you lose that you couldn't turn it on with your voice, so you'd have to push a button on a controller to turn your
Not
Xbox.
a big deal. I'm going to go out of my way as much as possible to do things with a controller and not with my voice.
I'm going to do as much as I can with the Kinect. In fact, if the concern is that they're watching me through my Kinect, like the government's watching me, anytime I decide it's time for some serious masturbation, I'm going to make sure that my Kinect is on.
Zoom.
Yeah, zoomed.
Xbox zoomed.
Xbox Zoom on my wang.
Can you? I wonder if you do like custom voice, so you can just be like Xbox boner time, and it just zooms a certain part of the couch.
All right. Why don't we go ahead and?
Yeah, I need
take
soda.
this break.
We're going to take a $5 or so. David, throw on a track or something, man. You got something?
I'm gonna see what I can do here.
Right.
See that.
We'll take a
See
fiver,
what you can do.
catch a smoke, and then we'll be back.
Word.
Talk about Sony being way better than they expected.